Emily, tell the world, where did your interest in people's relationships and how families work and when they're not working, where did that come from, and why do you give a shit about it?
Well, interestingly, I have absolutely no idea how that started.
That's not the answer.
I just think from a young age, I was really aware of issues around family dynamics and family relationships and divorce and separation and how that impacts on children. So I think that was definitely my first experience of why this feels important to me. This need to help others to not be in the same situation and to have different outcomes and to have better outcomes.
So does it feel a bit personal?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's very personal. And then I think once you start doing this work, once you start seeing there's an impact here, you can actually help people to change their own lives. This isn't about being a saviour and thinking you can help everybody and you can change things for them, because fundamentally that's not possible. You can't change somebody else's life, but you can listen to them and you can give them the tools and the resources to help themselves. So yeah, I think that I felt really passionate about doing something helpful. So that's why I started out as a teacher, because I thought I wanted to do that. And then that was really hard and I thought, oh gosh, why does anybody actually do this?
Yeah.
Not for me. Not actually challenging enough, to be honest. So then I worked in probation service for quite some time. And obviously then you're seeing older people who've had lived experience that's impacted on, their life opportunities. They've ended up in prison. They've ended up doing things because it is in their family. And it was often when you were talking to them, it was their family circumstances and relationships that had led them to the point where they had mental health difficulties, substance misuse, relationships have fallen apart. And I don't ever remember speaking to anybody that didn't talk about their childhood and how relationships had impacted on who they had become as an adult. So I did that for quite a while and did quite enjoy that. But then obviously one thought I'd actually quite like to work with young people, because there's more opportunity to change the course of someone's life if you can help them from a much earlier age. So yeah, I did that for about 20 years working in children's services and loved that and just learnt so much and I feel that I did have quite a big impact really. And then obviously we decided that we saw this huge gap in workforce development, resources, and 5 years later, here we are.
Ta-da!
I know, haven't we done
We've
well?
unleashed ourselves.
We really have. What about you?
On the world.
Why did you...
Well, it's a different path.
I know, it is.
Isn't it? And
it is. Go on, tell us about that.
We're lucky enough to work with lots of different people, but everyone's rowing in the same direction, aren't they? Yeah. It shouldn't be that your life feels... your life chances are affected by the poor relationships that surround you. Like that's something we can do something about. And I think that's what is exciting about the work that we've been able to do, is offer people that knowledge. Like knowledge is power, isn't it? And I think I've learned that over my career. Of mine's different, it's a different background to you. I started out working as a Montessori teacher. I miss those little children.
Yeah, you
I really miss working with the little ones. I mean, it's not that dissimilar working with you, obviously,
Thanks. And I often feel like I'm working with my mum.
Fair, that's fair. But when I did that way back when, 30 years ago, whatever it is, actually, whilst I love working with little ones, the fascinating bit was actually a lot of the time I was staying back after work talking to the parents about, well, the reason that your little one is biting everyone, what's going on at home that means that they are sinking their teeth into their friends. What's that about? So actually the hard work was figuring out that, what's going on in your family that means that your child's struggling when they're with their friends. So that led to that led to training to be a family therapist and a couple therapist. And whilst working as a therapist has taught me so much, and that has been a privilege. That is a privilege to sit and be let into somebody's life and to understand what it is about their life that has meant that it's been hard for them to communicate well and to connect with the people that they love in a way that they want to. So helping them to understand, well, what knowledge and skills do you need to be able to do that better? That's basically what we've done, isn't it? Over the last 5 years, we've taken your background, which is different to my sort of systemic therapeutic background. We've put it all together and gone, well, we have now worked with thousands. I mean, I can't think, it's thousands over a long time. You know, I was training people back in 2010. This is, you know, it's thousands of people, and I think the biggest driver for me, anyway, that we came to creating what we've created was listening to practitioners saying, well, I wish someone had told me this before, because if I could have shared this with my families, it's useful for me personally. If it's useful for me personally as a human that's doing this practitioner's role, then it's definitely, I can see that it's going to be valuable to the families that I support that are struggling. And as you said, I think that how lucky have we been to be able to go, well, we know this is helpful, so we're just going to make it look pretty, and make it something that we've been able to share with lots of people that have really been, I was going to say grateful, which makes us sound like idiots.
Well, the people do say that.
Well, they do. They do.
To be fair.
Yeah, they do. And
so this is amazing stuff.
Yeah.
This is really well thought through and put together. But if you think about, we've worked in our professions for over 20 years each. You know, we're not getting any younger, put it that way. So having all of that professional experience in couple therapy, life coaching, teaching, family mediation, working at the coalface, just knowing all of that. And I think we both felt very passionate about, we've got all of this information and all of this knowledge. Why don't we put it into a series of resources that are so easy to use and really simple and practical and solution focused and relationship focused? And I do think that that's why people really enjoy using them. And our training is absolutely hilarious, let's be honest.
Well, you know, what can we do? And it looks
Make
beautiful.
It fun. They
Big
do.
up to Jess. It looks beautiful. And
they look lovely.
And I think that shows that we've put love, care and attention into it, which we have, because it's like birthing a baby every time we send a new resource into the world. And that is how it feels. I think that's part of why things have gone so well for us over the last 5 years, because we genuinely care. It's a passionate motivation to want to share the things that we've learned over all of that time.
If you think about all of the places now that people are using, they're picking up an Amity resource, and they're going out and they're working with a family,
surgery,
and all of the people that have access to are really pretty resources that actually they work. You know, that's the beauty of them. They serve a purpose, and there's no magic in that. It's putting all of our knowledge into a series of resources and books and training sessions.
Listening, isn't it? I think we've tried to listen to the practitioners.
We do.
A lot of the things we've created are because enough practitioners have gone, oh, I wish you'd make something for new parents, because, you know, that there's nothing out there that is helpful for them.
That's real.
Yeah, we love that, don't we? And then we're like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. So
it's just, you know, absolutely warts and all. And I think that's what our resources are. They're warts and all. And sometimes I think, I don't know if you've had this experience, and I'm sure we have, when we look at resources that have been created to serve a specific purpose, I often think that the language is very formal, and the language is sometimes it's clinical, sometimes it's just it doesn't feel accessible. And we know that the reality of working with a family is that they swear, that they get frustrated, that they get stressed.
Yeah.
They don't understand some of the clinical language that's used, some of the academic language.
Yeah,
if you
it's
think
not
about
helpful,
our reading age in the UK, what was it, average about 10 for an adult?
Yeah.
Then we've got to break things down and simplify them and speak to families in a language that feels very real.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've done well.
Yeah.
As well as lots of other things.
I agree. I agree. On that note, should we're gonna indulge in talking a little bit. I don't really know which camera to look at, so I'm just gonna.
I think that camera. That's yours.
That one. Righto. We just wanted to talk a little bit about the different resources that we've created, just because it's pretty boring going on a website and reading a brochure. So this is a little bit about each of the things that we've created, and a bit of the passion as well behind why we've done it. And so Baby Love is exactly what we were just saying about. This came from practitioners asking. We know that transitions in our life is change, isn't it? When we transition into a new phase of our life, it's change. And when there's change in our life, we need to have change in our relationship. We need to communicate differently. We need to make an effort to understand each other's perspective. And I think never more sharply does that come into focus than when you have a baby. So we have created Baby Love as a warts and all, oh my God, we've got this baby, we have to keep this human alive. My fanny's been shredded, and my partner wants to have sex 2 weeks after I've given birth. It's a no. What do you do about that? That is going to cause issues. I can hear the giggling in the studio, but it does. It causes issues, and we don't necessarily know how to talk about it in a way that gets us to a resolution that feels good for both sides. So we have addressed all of that in Baby Love. We've tried to talk about, what happens when your mother-in-law is giving you advice. That's not how I did it, etc. What happens when there's resentment building up between you? How do you deal with that? How are you going to get through being ratty because you're tired? Obviously, you're going to be more short-tempered with each other. How do you find resolution when you're falling out, when this is new to you? It's new being a parent. It's new having a baby. It's overwhelming, and you expected it to be a Disney movie, and actually it feels more like a horror show right now. That's normal, but we want to help you. And that's where, so Baby Love was born. Some practitioners use it as a conversation piece to have conversations with new parents. Equally, you can just give this to a new parent and find out about what to do about your shredded fanny and how it's messing up your sex life, basically. That is what this is for. So it's written with love and honesty, and we're thrilled that we know that a lot of people have this in their hand, and we know that it's helping people to transition into parenthood with maybe slightly less bumps in the road. So, we love Baby Love. So hopefully you will find some love for it as well. Emily, what have you got?
I am going to talk about this, which is our resource we created for practitioners, for parents who have separated. They're obviously no longer together. They might be divorced. They might be separated. They have children. That's the focus of this. The focus is pretty much around how are you impacting on your children and what can you do about that. So it's called the Parenting Apart Structured Sessions, or Amity Essentials Parenting Apart. We call it lots of different things. Anyway, it is for working with parents who are really struggling with their separation. And the resources of this particular resource we've chopped it up really nicely into 6 quite distinct sessions, and they all cover a different theme. But first of all, we talk about the loss of the relationship, and nobody talks about that. That you grieve the relationship that you had, even if it was you that ended it. So we focus a lot at the beginning of the resource about what does it feel like to have a relationship with someone, you've had a child or you've got children together and that relationship ends. So we focus on you being able to tell your story. I think that's a huge part of this is, let me tell you my story. That feels important. So we've created this for social workers, people that work in family hubs, family mediators, anybody really that's got a good set of relational skills that can build rapport, build a relationship with a parent or two parents. We often say it works really well if you can get both parents separately to share their story with you and to tell you how they feel about being a co-parent. And there's a huge focus on the impact that you're having on your children, that you shouldn't be putting them in the middle of your conflicts, what that looks and feels like, depending on the age range of the child. There's lots and lots of practical solution-focused tools, stuff that we use in private practice. And, we thought, actually, there's so much stuff that is used in private practice, in therapy, in mediation, in systemic practice, that actually, let's get all this into a resource that anybody that's been trained, that's already working with families can use, because we appreciate that lots of people are working with somebody from the public sector, for example, and they're already trying to deal with the harm caused by the relationship breakdown and the impact that's having on children. So we've put this very neatly into a structured resource that anybody really can use that's been trained, that cares deeply about people's separation, divorce, and the impact that it's having on their children, because it's the kind of resource that if you've been separated or divorced, and likely over half of all relationships end in divorce, so highly likely that you will have experienced that for yourself as a practitioner. And when we're training people, they often say, I wish I'd had this when I was separating. This would have really helped me. I wish someone would have talked through some of this stuff and why I'm feeling the way I feel. So yeah, we're very proud of this. And this is what it is. Amity Essentials Parenting Apart.
Up next, I feel like this is like the top 10 countdown, top of the pops. If it was, then this is probably our flagship resource, really. This was the first thing that we ever created at Amity. And this is all over the country. I nearly said world then. It's not all over the world. Maybe one day. But it's all over it's being used all over the country by practitioners. And really, this is your go-to if you are a frontline practitioner and you want to feel a bit more confident, less professionally vulnerable, to be curious about what is going on in someone's relationship. So as we've already spoken about previously, we've trained thousands of people to be more curious in a way that feels comfortable for them. And we think what makes it comfortable is having something to look at, having something to talk around. So this is like if you imagine having one of us holding your hand during the conversation. That's what we've tried to create. Something that doesn't leave you flailing on your own, feeling like you're being tempted to give someone advice and trying to fix their relationship for them. So the first thing we say is that is not your job. And hopefully that makes you feel a bit more relaxed, go, okay, good. If it's not my job to give someone advice because I don't really know what to tell them because I'm not a therapist, what can I do that's useful? And what you can do that's useful is ask a good question, is help that person, share an insight with them, help them to understand, why is it that we keep arguing about the same thing? Why do we keep feeling disconnected? So there are lots of tools in this toolkit that help you to explore that. It's as simple as that, really. So we will train you either in person or via our Learning Hub, which is, we are told, it's not just us saying we think it's fabulous. We have great feedback that learning to use the toolkit on our e-learning gives people that confidence to go, do you know what? I'm not a therapist, but I reckon I can probably ask the right questions because I've got the toolkit and I can go to my sort of go-to little favourite activities that I know help me to explore what's going on here. Because really what is important, and what we know that all practitioners are doing, regardless of what your role is, you are trying to make a better environment for children to do well. And children do better if they are not surrounded by people who are constantly arguing. So hopefully what this will do, what we know it does, is give practitioner the confidence to go, I'm going to be curious. I'm not coming in here to fix anything. I'm going to find out what is it that I can do as a practitioner to help this couple to explore the way they communicate and maybe support them to communicate in a better way. And that really runs through everything that we do. All of our resources are not about, don't worry, I'm here, I'm going to fix it. They're about, let us share with you some knowledge that we know will help you as a parent communicate better and be able to fix things for yourself. And that really is the thread that runs through everything. But certainly it started with the Amity Relationship Toolkit.
So this is Safe Space. If you work with families and you're worried about their relationship, if there's a power imbalance where a child is using abuse or threatening behaviour or controlling behaviour or challenging behaviour, then Safe Space is the tool, the resource that we've created that will really help you to support a family who is living with that kind of family dynamic, that kind of experience. So it's quite hefty. There's a lot in it. It's a full day's training. It's a great resource, and it's helped lots of families to think about their dynamic, because that's really what this is about. It's about family power imbalances and dynamics. And it's suitable for children who are using challenging or abusive behaviours from about the age of 5. It's very gentle in its approach. It's been created by us and our experience of working with families that have experienced this type of family relationship. And it's for social workers and people that work in family hubs. And it really gives you the tools and the strategies to hold someone's hand, to hold a family, hold their hand through this really challenging process. It gives you everything that you need. You don't need to think about what's in there. We've put everything in there that you would need in order to help families readdress those dynamic imbalances, help parents to be more confident, and give them the skills and the tools and the strategies to change their relationship with their child. And it also supports children to think about, how am I going to manage some of these big emotions? Why am I behaving the way that I am? So it does have a lot of it talks about accountability, but it does it in a very gentle way. But it's very practical, and it helps families to change the way they communicate. So it's almost starting again. It's rebuilding the relationship between the parent and the child from the ground, and thinking about, what do we need to do differently so that we can get on better, and so that we can change some of this harmful behaviour that's happening at home. So we would thoroughly recommend that if you're worried about a family's relationship, and it's specifically around the child's behaviour, and the parent is either worried or concerned, or they're scared and they don't know what to do, because they often don't know what to do in this situation, then this is absolutely for you. And we've put a lot of care. It's evidence-based. There's lots of research that's gone into how it's being created. So yeah, come and have a chat to us if you think that that's something that you would find helpful in your workplace.
Family communication. It's not the most exciting product name, but we called it family communication for a very specific reason. Obviously, that's what it's about. This is a resource for schools. And this was created in response to practitioners recognising that they can't be everywhere all the time. And schools have a really key role to play in supporting what is going on in a child's life. Obviously, school is a very big part of that. So family communication is something that can be taken into schools, and what we've done is created a really simple way of being able to use this. There's a lovely little 1-hour workshop that you can use as a teacher in a school, whoever it is in your school is relevant to be that person. They can come and do the training, which exists on a nice little Amity PowerPoint. So you can get yourself up to speed super quick, and then off you go. You've got copies of the book if you choose to give it out as a printed resource, and you can share that with families that attend your school. And basically what it does, it addresses the triangle, I suppose, that is the relationship between school and the family, the relationship between the parent, and the relationship between the parent and the child. So that triangle is often really significant in the relationship that happens between family and school. And we did a lot of research, we did a lot of consultation, we spoke to a lot of teachers about the challenge that they have, that we know when a child is struggling at home because we see it in how they engage with their friends, we see it in how well they're able to concentrate at school. So addressing home stuff is important because it means a child gets the opportunity to do better at school if they're less disrupted by what's going on at home. But obviously, teachers are experts in English and geography and history, not necessarily even those who are maybe there to be in a more pastoral role. They don't necessarily know what's the best way to go about talking to a family about what is going on at home. So that's what this does. It bridges that gap that might feel a bit awkward, and it gives some practical ways to address that issue and hopefully improve the chances for that child of doing well at school by reducing the poor communication that is going on either between the parent and the child, or between the parents and school. So if that's something that you're interested in, come and talk to us. It exists in lots of schools across the country, and it's been really well received. So we'd be very happy to chat to you about how this might work in your local authority, in your schools. So come and talk to us. Dun, dun, dun.
Right. I can't remember what's in Close to Home.
Close to Home. Really nice cover.
It's lovely. It looks really pretty. It's got a great...
Relationships in your community.
Yeah, it's great. I really like the front cover. In fact,
I love it, yeah.
It's beautiful. It's very, very beautiful. Okay.
Buy it because it's a nice cover.
So this is Close to Home, and we created this for communities. It's been specifically co-produced. We spent a lot of time in co-production, working with the voluntary and community sector, and the end result is Close to Home. And this is about building relationships that are strong and stable so that children do better. Obviously, children live in communities and they're surrounded by and impacted by the adults that live in those communities. And we felt that it was important to take some key messages out into communities, into the places that people live. People often spend time in their local church or their other place of worship, or in their community centre, or in the youth club, or wherever they spend time. They're in communities already. So this is very much targeted at the voluntary and community sector. So we train those community leaders and we support them to deliver workshops to parents so that parents can understand how they are having an impact on the children that are living in their community, so that they can live more positive, helpful, and more thriving lives, in a nutshell. So it's packed full of resources. It's very practical in terms of how it's being created, but lots of the elements of Close to Home focus on communities helping themselves. So it helps them to really focus and think about, what is it that's happening in the community? Not all communities have got the same challenges and difficulties that are impacting on the children that live there, but it's very much about taking responsibility for what is happening, being able to sit down with a group of people that also live in your community and talk about what is it that's happening here? How are we impacting on the educational, emotional, and social outcomes of the children that live here? What could we do differently? So it's packed with solution-focused tools and strategies, and everybody gets a book to take away so that they can share it with other family members. We felt that that was an important piece of a jigsaw, really, was there's lots of professionals that have been trained to support communities, but actually people respect and look up to community leaders. So that's where the close to home workshops really come into their own. And we've trained lots and lots of people to help them go out into their communities and make a difference to outcomes for children. So come and talk to us about how you might be able to embed your own close to home workshops in your own community. Let's talk about the Learning Hub. Should we talk about the Learning Hub?
Yeah,
let's talk about the Learning Hub. Right, okay. So we created the Learning Hub because lots of people were saying to us, we can't get to a specific place at a specific time. There's obviously the cost of room hire and having a facilitator, and then everybody paying for parking. And all of the reasons why e-learning is so helpful is because it is so flexible and because people can do it.
You could do it in your pajamas.
You could do it in your pajamas. In fact, people do. You can use a computer, you can use a laptop, you can use a mobile phone. So we listen to people telling us about their experiences of why going to face-to-face or virtual training at a specific time on a specific day was so difficult. And people like to learn in their own time at a time that's convenient for them. It makes it much more accessible. So we created a fabulous learning hub, and it's been incredibly popular. And we haven't created boring.
Who knew? Yeah, because e-learning is usually
it's terrible.
a fast road to wanting a nap.
It is. So we created something with all of that in mind, and we listened to lots of people, didn't we? Tell us about their experiences of accessing e-learning and clicking through as fast as possible so that you can get to the end and, well, I've done it now.
Yeah.
But we wanted something a bit more immersive, something that felt more interesting to listen to. And I'm thinking about some feedback that I was reading about one of the modules that we have on there, which is the relationship toolkit. And somebody said, I could listen to Kate all day. And I thought that was really nice.
Oh,
so why don't you tell us about the 3 modules that we decided to put on
so
there?
So far. More to come, maybe. So one of them is the toolkit. And we have tried really hard, as Emily said, to bring it alive with videos and interactive segments. So in a nutshell, you're able to, as Emily said, in your own time, in your pajamas, eating crisps, you can learn about how you're going to use the toolkit to enable you to be more curious with the people that you're working with about what is going on in their relationship, and feel confident that you know what would be a good question to ask them. That's what the toolkit does. It gives you conversations. It gives you a place to hang the conversation because you can use the visual. So when you get to the end of the module, you can hit download, and then ta-da, you get all the goodies that we talk about on the e-learning is in the book at the end. And
the toolkit is a really chunky piece of go-to,
it's like
isn't it?
85 pages or something, isn't it?
It's massive.
Don't worry, we don't go through every page.
No, we
boring
don't.
On the e-learning.
It's about an hour. It will take you about an hour. Yeah. And it's so interesting, even that we created it, but I think I've probably done that module several times and think, well, it isn't boring.
Engaging.
It is really engaging. Fair. We've tried to make it as interesting as possible. And the fact that you get the toolkit at the end, once you've completed it,
and then you're ready to go.
You're good to go. You can automatically go through that straight away and find something in there that will support you to have a really good conversation with somebody about how they communicate, their relationship, what's happening for them, how their relationship has evolved and what they want to do next. I think it's really practical and solution focused, and people have said we absolutely love it. So it's been very popular.
Yeah, that's been really popular, as has Another module that is on there is the difference between domestic abuse and parental conflict. How many times we've said that sentence in the last 5 years, I don't know, because it's right up there, I think, in the public conscience, talking about domestic abuse and how it is affecting, our society as a whole is massive, really, isn't it? And so we wanted to address that. We wanted to address what we see is practitioners' hesitation in talking to people about their relationships. What they're first of all concerned about is actually what is going on in this relationship. Before I give any support, I want to feel confident to know, is this domestic abuse situation or is it parental conflict? I'm not confident that I can be sure that I can tell the difference. And that's what this module does. Again, in the same vein, engaging, and it's not going to take you all day, but it is going to hold your hand through reflecting on, what do I understand about what domestic abuse looks like? What do I understand about what parental conflict looks like? What are the similarities? But obviously, importantly, what are the differences? And do I know as a practitioner how to respond to either of those? It's that simple, really.
It is, but it's just so practical.
Yeah.
Because it gives you all of that knowledge, and it helps you to understand parts around, the legislation and some of the crimes that are associated with domestic abuse. But also it kind of helps you to think about, parental conflict is really serious.
Yeah. Yes.
And that it's fine. It's okay. It's parental conflict. Parental conflict is, as we know, really detrimental to children's outcomes. So it helps you to really address that as a particular and specific issue. But what I like about it, that module and the download that you get, the book that comes with it, it really holds your hand, and it gives you a series of very, very helpful questions that you can ask an individual to help them understand their own lived experience.
Yeah.
So we know it's been incredibly popular because it's that gap, isn't it?
Yeah.
There is a grey area. There are overlaps, and we address it.
Professionally vulnerable, don't you?
Absolutely.
If you're not sure what the difference is. And it dovetails perfectly with the toolkit. So what lots of people do is make sure their practitioners do the difference between domestic abuse and parental conflict. It's a mouthful. Do that module, and then your follow-up is, right, so if it's parental conflict, what are you going to do about it? Because there's very clear pathways often for, if it's domestic abuse, I know what I'm going to do with that family. If it's parental conflict, actually, how do I respond to that? Well, if you do the toolkit training, then that's what you do. You take what you've learned from the toolkit, what's in the toolkit, to then go and explore that parental conflict and hopefully improve things for the child. That was the perfect segue.
Into Me in the Middle.
Me in the Middle.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
I'll talk about that then. Yeah, Me in the Middle is the final piece of the learning module, really. So the first two modules, very much adult focused. Obviously, having an adult focus is very important because you need to then be able to support those people, and obviously children's outcomes will improve if their relationship improves. That goes without saying. However, the missing piece is often that we don't understand the child's lived experience because we often don't ask the right questions.
Or we assume.
Yeah, or we make an assumption, or we'll ask one child what they think, and then that will apply to the rest of the family.
Yeah.
So Me in the Middle is a really helpful learning experience for any practitioner or volunteer or person working in a school. Anyone that works with children say that they've found it very helpful to realise that the voice of the child should be not just something that we say we do, but we actually do, and it has an impact, because it's not just really about listening to the voice of the child. It's and then what?
Yeah.
How will that change?
So what are you going to do? Yeah.
How will that change your intervention or the support that you offer? How will that child feel heard? So I think what's great about it is the toolkit that we created that alongside it, Me in the Middle, which is so helpful. It's packed with lots and lots of resources and practical tools that you can use with children and teenagers to get them to open up about different aspects of their life. So how they feel about relationships at home, at school, in the community, what it is that they would like to be different. It's very engaging, very colourful. And we spent so long in co-production with 3 different areas. We spent about 9 months just talking to practitioners about what is it that you find most helpful, what is it you're missing, what do you need, and then we put it all into that beautiful little package.
I think the other thing about Me in the Middle is it gives you a jump off point. If you're a practitioner, if you're struggling to help an individual or a couple, if you're struggling to convince them that you're arguing really does affect your child. Because, I mean, if I had a pound for every person that said, oh, it's okay because we only argue when the kids are in bed, and expect you to say, oh, that's okay then. No, that still matters. I think it gives you a really good jump off point because it's not the practitioner saying, no, you should care about how your conflict's affecting your child. You can say, this is how your conflict is affecting your child. This is what they've said. So this is from their mouth. This is the impact that it's having. And I think often that is such a strong motivator for someone to say, okay, actually, that I accept that we do need to do something about our relationship because that's breaking my heart that my child is saying that.
And also even when the relationship at home is fine and the relationship between the parents, there doesn't appear to be any issues, but the child is still struggling and that child is still expressing that there's something wrong. It might be other relationships that are happening in the community or something's happening at school with somebody. So I think Me in the Middle is really helpful at addressing what is actually happening in all of the child's relationships and how do we explore that so we can conclude why it is that they're struggling.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's good. So that's it. That's a heads up on the Amity Learning Hub. If you've got questions, if you're wondering technically how does it work, I might not be able to answer all those questions.
We have people
not
for
our
that.
gift.
We have people that help us with that.
Get in touch and we will give you the opportunity to have a little look at it and see how it looks and feels. Any opportunity to show off our Learning Hub, we're there for that. So come and have a chat to us.